Thank you so much for chatting to us today.
Absolutely, I'm happy to talk to you.
And congratulations on the brand new mini album as well. I was wondering if you could start off by telling us a little bit about how it's come about and why you guys decided to release an album like this.
Well, sure. I guess the reason it kind of came about was that we had a couple songs that we had recorded for different projects. One of them was Decibel Magazine, which is like the metal magazine in the U.S. They have a series where they send magazines out with flexi discs, like little plastic discs that you can put in the magazine.
Yep.
And they have this great series with where they ask bands to do singles, and we were really really honored to be asked to do one. So we did that, and then we also did a split 7-inch with one of our really good friends, Spirit Adrift, a good band that we love here in the U.S. And we did a song for that kind of fit the theme of that we were working on together, which was like kind of older Appalachian. Our song is kind of a dirge from an older era, and so we had these two recorded tracks. That one made it onto a 7-inch, and the other one was only available on a magazine. So we kind of were looking for an opportunity, a vessel, to put those two songs on a record. So that was kind of the impetus for all of it. And then when we realized that we had these two songs and the rest of a record to fill, the idea of doing a one-side live, one-side recorded release was really appealing to us because we are all super huge fans of ZZ Top, a Texas blues band that released an album called Fandango in the 70s that was so great and did the same thing. It was live on one side and recorded on the other. So a lot of motivation behind this release, a lot of inspiration, and it turned out really cool, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And A Conversation with Death was recorded for the video game, the Dark Pictures Anthology. Tell us a little bit about how that came about for you guys and what that was like to actually sit down and cover a folk song.
Yeah, it was strange. Well, first, we recorded that for the split. That was one of the songs that I was referring to as for the split with Spirit Adrift, and someone at the video game company, those people heard it, and they reached out to our producer. I can't remember how it actually went down, but they reached out to us after they heard it and said that they thought they had a game that it would fit. And Phil in our band, our singer, had played the previous game, like the predecessor to this one, and he was excited about it. And they asked if they could use the song for the game, and we gave them permission to do that. And they gave us a little bit of money, which was nice because we needed a new van. And by new, I mean a 23-year-old van. Which was new to us. And they helped us with that in a way. So it was cool. And then, people were excited about the game. And when it first came out, it was the music for not only the trailer, but maybe like the intro of the game. And people are super excited about it. So the song got a lot of exposure. And I think that's great because it turned out such a cool song.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a second thought to have it in the video game. But as far as covering that song, to your earlier question, it was really fun and fairly liberating because you don't have too many constraints. Most of the recordings of that song were really basic in the past. Some of them a cappella, some of them with just a single guitar, some of them by a band that I really love called Camper Van Beethoven, which no one in the band was necessarily aware of at the time. I was, because I actually am a fan. But so it was cool because we got to do the arrangement really on our own, and Ben, our lead guitar player from the band, really just nailed it first time. You know, he figured out there was this weird timing thing where I think it's like the fourth time through the kind of cycle in the verse, it repeats an extra time. He figured that out, came together really quick. He wrote a chorus completely from scratch and just really like, how about this? And it worked great, and we were really excited how that one turned out too.
Yeah. How important is that when you do a cover track to make it your own? Because I reckon every day I get sent 2 or 3 emails from bands, publicists saying, oh, this band has just done a cover of this track. And you take a listen to it, and 9 times out of 10 it sounds exactly the same as the original. But it's always those great covers that come through where the band has made it their own. How do you go about making a cover your own track?
Yeah, I mean, it's a fine line for sure. I mean, that's the trick, right? It's how do you make it your own? How do you add something to it without taking something that people love away? I think in the case of Conversation, because it was such a folk song, for lack of a better word, it really didn't have, you know, I mean, it wasn't a Black Sabbath song, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It was a lot easier to do it, and really you could only enhance it in many ways, improve it in some, you know, again, someone, you know, an indie rock guy might like Camper's version better than ours, but you know what I mean? Other than that,
yeah.
It was pretty liberating. You know, when it comes to the Dio cover, then you're getting into that tricky territory, right? Where you don't know, you have to tread that line. You have to make it yours, but good luck making it better, right? Because Dio is Dio.
Exactly.
So, yeah, that one's a little bit tougher.
Yeah. The live tracks that are on here, how did you guys go about picking which live tracks you wanted on there as well?
It was a combination of things. I think a big influence on that decision was our performances. You know, like we recorded 2 nights here in Denver, 2 nights in a row, 2 totally different hour-plus sets. And so we had a lot of performances to choose from, so that was a big part of it. It was like, how, you know, did we nail this one? How'd this one come across? How'd the crowd react? You know, you can feel, that's what I love about live albums. You can feel that vibe, you know?
Yeah.
In a live recording, you can just feel how the synergy between the band and the audience, and sometimes if the audience is really quiet, that feeling is even greater because it just translates into the moment a lot.
Yeah.
So anyway, performance was a part of that, for sure. And then we decided that we really wanted to represent all 3 full-length albums. So it just worked out really great because Bloodletting, we actually played Bloodletting and 3 Gates back to back in the set, and there was a transition in there live that we just kept on the record, and it was very fluid that way. If you're doing a full live record, you know, those are there are those all over, right? But in this case, when those 2 songs were flowing together really well, and then The Bereaved is just it's a personal favorite, it's a band favorite, it is a fan favorite in Denver, especially where they've been supporting us for a long time. That was one of the first songs that we played live.
Yep.
We played it at our first show in Denver, in front of like 15 of my motorcycle buddies. Yeah.
I've also got.
That was the idea. Part of the idea was just to represent all the albums. So
yeah. Well, it's turned out absolutely amazing. And the other thing, too, I love about this is the artwork. The artwork on this album is absolutely fantastic. And I understand that was done by a friend of yours?
Yeah, Cameron is a friend. You know, it's so cool because we were coming back from South by Southwest, our first invitation to that event, and in Austin, Texas, kind of a big underground music. It's kind of a big deal here in the States for underground music, and we were excited to play that. And then we're going back to Denver, and our drummer Zach is from the Dallas area. So he's like, let's stop on our way and play a show with my friend's band, Hayden. He's such a good dude. And you know, it was like maybe a Sunday night show. You know, it was just a local band and us, and we hadn't even released, I don't think we had released Hunted at that point. And it was just one of those great shows where everyone is great, the bands are great, the fans, not the fans, they weren't fans, they were going to the bar, you know, they were just people like banging their head and drink some beer, and it seemed like a very casual show. But we walk in, and Cameron, who was the guitar player in that band, he had made this really incredible poster. Like, his style is this very, like, it's super cool because it's got these very sharp graphical separations, but it still flows and it feels natural. But I don't know, it's just like this kind of interesting middle ground in art styles, and he created this just beautiful poster for a Sunday night show with a local band and another metal band from Denver that no one had ever heard of, and we were so impressed with his art and the effort that he put into it that we've commissioned him for a bunch of stuff. He made a tour poster, he's done 3 or 4 shirts for us, and man, it just seemed like such a natural choice for this album. He just absolutely knocked it out of the park. And I think that Phil, from our band, who's kind of a visionary himself, he gives a little bit of direction, but whatever it was, Cameron, he took off with it, and it turned out so cool.
Oh,
and it just represents the effort, I think, so well.
Yeah, and it's artwork like that makes me so happy that physical media is not dying out, because that is just absolutely amazing. I guess also, what are you guys doing now you're in lockdown? Because, of course, we're in total lockdown here in Australia at the moment. So how have you guys been handling the lockdown, and have you used it to be creative and write some more music?
I know that some of the guys have. I've been super busy with work, which is I'm really fortunate that I have work, and strangely, this period has been the busiest I've been in probably a decade.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I'm working super long weeks and weekends, and it's kind of convenient for me because I can't do anything anyway because I have to work.
Yeah.
So, but as far as the band goes, it is, it's a bit of a blow, and the biggest issue I think is that, the biggest issue is that we were kind of hitting our stride writing our 4th album, and we had finished a few songs, all of them very happy with them. One of them we were playing a lot. We actually were thinking about playing in our European tour that we actually would be on right now.
Yep.
If it had happened. And so we were really excited, and the momentum was good. And then, it just came to a screeching halt that way. I know, like I said, because I've been working so much, I haven't been actually playing and writing as much as I would like. But the other guys, who are also, some of them are working, but there's ideas definitely coming out. We have a Dropbox folder. It's getting, it's filling up with ideas and recordings. So it's a bummer. We're a collaborative writing band for sure. Even though Phil and Ben definitely write most of the riffs, it's almost like a presentation format where they come in and they're like, here's this, and we work on it together, and Zach will start playing drums, and that really affects the attitude of the song, and it's a very collaborative process. And I know for some, like Phil, for instance, I know it's a big deal for him because he wants to share ideas and create, he wants to share the foundation and then create the building together.
Yeah.
And I think he's been fairly frustrated by the fact that we can't get together. But, ideas are coming, so I'm excited. It's going to be kind of maybe a lot too much to wade through when we finally do get back together, but we'll definitely get those best ideas and take them to the next level, I hope.
Definitely. And I know we're running out of time. That kind of leads into my last question. what would you guys like to say to everybody out there before they go out and grab this album? But also, what are your plans after lockdown? And is there any chance we might see you in Australia in the not too distant future as well?
God, I hope so. I've never been to Australia. I would love to go. But yeah, I mean, the plans I don't think have changed too much. We expect to release a full length LP. Let me back up a little bit. First of all, I think Doomed Heavy Metal turned out great. I think it's interesting. You know, I'm trying to be objective, and just be like a listener, you know, and like a fan of music. But I think it's interesting, you know, like it's got some live stuff. It's got the track that we recorded for Decibel was like it wasn't part of Hunted, and it definitely wasn't part of Desolation. It was just something that it really marks the band through all these different times in a really cool way. Both the live tracks taking us through all three albums, and the recorded tracks taking us from, you know, a split with another band that no one hardly knew about at the time and has become fairly popular, and then, you know, this magazine request, and then even to a point where we get comfortable enough to challenge a Dio cover. So just a really great representation of the band throughout time. So if anyone is interested at all in KHEMMIS, I think it would be a cool thing for them to check out.
Definitely.
But back to the full length, we plan on releasing it kind of like early-ish next year. It's probably going to be later. I mean, you know, just studio time and, you know, things getting backed up. I don't know when everything will get back to normal. Or I should say, get back to a new normal.
Yeah.
And then, man, you know, as soon as we can gather in large groups of people, I think we would all love to come to Australia. So much good music from Australia too, you know, like I have this little like group of people that I text with, and we do this on the road a lot where we go to a new place and we'll be like, okay, you know, bands from, you know, wherever we are, Louisiana, but it's more interesting with countries than it is with states. And, you know, in Canada is always a fun one. And then obviously we've been in Germany and the Netherlands recently, but, yeah, man, like Australia, like Rose Tattoo and AC/DC, and I love Australian bands.
Yeah,
I love The Church. I love In Excess. I think these are all great bands.
Oh, definitely, yeah. And we've got such a great underground scene as well. Like, we've got this really great underground heavy scene, and there's so many amazing bands in there, and you just wait for them to take off in the UK or America, and it doesn't seem to happen, and you're like, man, these guys are great. Why isn't that happening for them? So there's so much great music there to explore.
I wonder why that is. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to, you know, I mean, obviously in the internet era, distance doesn't really exist.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know, man. Maybe they just need Nick Cave to endorse them.
Definitely.
Who is by far my favorite Australian artist.
Oh, he's one of mine too. Absolutely love Nick Cave.
Of course. Yeah.
Well, mate, thank you so much for chatting to us today. It's been an absolute pleasure, and hopefully we do get to see you in Australia sometime soon.
I'd love that, man. And everyone there, please stay healthy and safe, and you know, check out the new KHEMMIS record if you're bored.
Awesome. You too, mate. You stay safe, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks.